Good morning and welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, October the 28th. I hope you are having a great day and that your week is going exactly the way you want it to. We are at Tuesday, which is almost Wednesday. So in keeping with our tradition of good news, you are almost halfway through this week, if that is what you are hoping for. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great week. It is cold and rainy here, which does not bother me. If it were not raining, I would have been outside doing this video because I much prefer to be outside. But people that live around me in the town where I live, they are very unhappy with this cold weather. It is the last day and a half, it has been in the mid to lower 50s, depending on what time of the day it is, and rainy. And so there are a lot of people who are, as my former drill instructors and drill sergeants like to say, sad on the inside around here. So it's been a lot of unpleasant people around here with just because of the weather, but it doesn't bother me too much. I like cold weather. Today I have a good story from Italy, which I don't know how you could have too many bad stories when you're talking about Italy. I love Italy. This is from southern Italy, which is one of my favorite places in the whole world. This past summer, my two youngest boys and I were blessed and fortunate enough to be able to go on a short vacation there, and we had a great time there and got to see not the place where this story is from, but not too far from there. So this is a good news story from the region called Puglia, a little town there called Stornara, which I have not been to, but it is a beautiful part of Italy. So I hope you'll enjoy this story. And then I have a few quotes to go along with that as well. There is no video with this, but there are some beautiful, beautiful pictures that are in this short article, and there will be a link to that in the description box as always. So if you want to see some amazing, beautiful pictures, click on the link in the description box and check them out. If you like art, if you like street murals and things like that, this is going to be for you for sure. So I hope you enjoy this. This is called Italian Ghost Town Rescued by Instagrammable Street Art, which attracts thousands. A southern Italian hamlet referred to as a ghost town is now attracting thousands of tourists by commissioning artists to paint more than 140 murals on the sites of shops and homes. It seems fitting that the birthplace of so many of the world's great artists should leverage painting as a means of recovery. Why should Rome and Florence have all the beauty? Stornara in the Puglia region has suffered from a fate befalling many towns in Italy. A generation experiencing rising standards of living had fewer children, and those children, now grown up, are moving to the cities, leaving the small towns crumbling in their absence. Local artist Lino Lombardi grew frustrated to see his hometown crumbling around him and became determined to make it a destination worth visiting. In 2017, he created Murals, an annual street art festival that sees artists from around the world come to paint murals in the city. 6 of the now 140 vibrant murals were created at the first festival in 2018, and now thousands of people visit every year. Revenue through tourism has increased by 25% since 2020, and 8 new businesses have opened, including 2 restaurants, 3 bed and breakfasts, and an art supplies shop. More importantly than the temporary tourist season boom, the town's population has stopped declining and begun to grow again as young families move back, locals say. Suddenly, there were loads of people turning up with cameras and guidebooks, remembered Antonio Maglione, who had been on the brink of closing the cafe he owns in the town. I had to quickly learn to say welcome in 5 different languages. The murals saved my business, but more than that, they saved our community. That sense of provincial entrapment is powerful in Italy, and 45-year-old Rita Genzano spared no mercy for her home when speaking with Britain Britain's Southwest News Service about returning in 2017 to look after her parents, having previously lived in Turin for 20 years. When I first returned, it felt like a sacrifice. It was like walking into a ghost town, said Ginsano, now a local tour guide. I had left it full of life and laughter, but when I returned, it felt like it was dying. But actually, it has become something extraordinary which I have been fortunate to be a part of. Other struggling towns have appealed for help from organizers following Stornaro's success. Our community has painted itself back to life, one wall at a time, Lombardi, 57, told SWNS. At first, people thought I was crazy, but I couldn't just watch the town fade away. I started looking at the walls as blank canvases which could be turned into something beautiful. We never planned to be a case study, but if our experience can help other communities, that's even more meaningful. The 140 plus paintings spread throughout the town's streets and historic squares are inspired by Stornaro's agricultural past, migration, and the townsfolk, among other themes. Residents get to vote on proposed themes for the murals ahead of each festival when the paintings are created. This year's edition, to take place in July, will feature continental artists as well. Now, I will mention that this article is a little bit dated. It comes from June of this past year, June of 2025. So they've already had this festival. It was held in July. So I would encourage you, go back and look. You can Google this. I may, if I'm able to, put a link to it in the description box also. But go back and look and see what new murals they did for this year. The murals from previous years are gorgeous. They're just beautiful. This is an imaginative, creative, amazing way to try to do something to help out your community, to try to save your town and do something positive to try to help people out. So, great idea. So, a few quotes. Pablo Picasso. Art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. Yes, I agree with that. Thomas Merton said, art enables us to find ourselves and lose ourselves at the same time. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Paul Cézanne, the aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance. Yeah, that makes sense too. Okay, here's one. Some of you might recognize this name. Henry Ward Beecher, brother of Harriet Beecher Stowe, who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin. Henry Ward Beecher was a very famous man in his own right, and he had a little controversy in his life too, but very smart man. He said, every artist dips his brush in his own soul and paints his own nature into his pictures. Yeah, I believe that. And while these don't, you may find the link to today's subject matter in these Bible verses a little bit odd. They do pertain, if you stretch the imagination a little bit. Nevertheless, there's always a link between Bible verses and our lives. So here we go. If I can find my place again. You are my refuge and my shield. I have put my hope in your word. Psalm 119, 114. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. Psalm 3:3. What is mankind that you are mindful of them, human beings that you care for them? Psalm 8:4. I say to the Lord, you are my Lord. Apart from you, I have no good thing. Psalm 16:2. There were a couple more that I found earlier that I wanted. Yet you, Lord, are our Father. We are the clay. You are the potter. We are all the work of your hand. Isaiah 64:8. But in your great mercy, you did not put an end to them or abandon them, for you are a gracious and merciful God. Nehemiah 9:31. So I will stop there, but while those may not be obvious links to today's short story on positivity and good news, I'll go ahead and tell you I picked those out for a reason, because God is always present in our lives, and He is always doing things in the background, even if we don't recognize those workings. And so those verses, if you think about them, were meant to remind us that He is always involved in our lives. And there is great beauty just in knowing that. There is artwork in knowing that God is there and He is involved in everything happening in our lives. I hope that you have a great week. Finish the week out strong. Know that God is with you, that He is real, that He loves you. And I love you too. Good day.